Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV, on X, as well as on YouTube. Now, some crazy games last night out there on the ice. I'm kicking myself with some of the bets that I did have. I thought Dallas would be able to come in really strong into Edmonton, but Edmonton decided to show up offensively. Dallas made a push back, but was unable to push that game to overtime and get the win, as Edmonton did win that one in a high-scoring battle. We also saw Brady Tkachuk do the opposite of what I expected. I expected Brady Tkachuk to really struggle after they traded Josh Norris. He took his frustrations with one of his best friends being traded and really did the work yesterday, getting the overtime winning goal as well as a goal in that regular play. When we look at that Rangers team, they just fell apart. They led at one point in that third period, 3-1. And they just couldn't hold that lead. So we got a lot of games to break down today. We had some players who were able to get us that great plus money. Mikko Rantanen did get us that plus 220 for the anytime point, as well as a plus 600 for the goal. So lots of great spots. We were able to jump in on some of those players. We also were able to hit the Kings in the first period on that puck line, as the Kings did get that 2-1 overtime win versus the St. Louis Blues, but did go up 1-0 in the first period. So lots of great action out there on the ice yesterday and fantastic games here today on a Sunday. The puck will drop for the first game here at 1:10 Eastern between the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, the Flyers are off that loss yesterday. They played the Seattle Kraken in a game you guys know I had the Flyers to play a big role in that game and really get going. Now, Michkov, we looked at him. We did take Michkov for 3+ shots on goal, 4+, and 5+, laddering him up. The 3+ was coming in at plus 100. I put a quarter unit on all of them, and we were only, or a third of a unit on all of them. We were only able to hit the one at plus 100. He had like 8 minutes left in the third period at 3 shots, and I expected him to get at least that 4th shot, but was unable to do so. So I do think going back to him today, but we've got the New Jersey Devils rolling in versus the Flyers as a favorite. Now, the Devils have been struggling. We know no Jack Hughes in the lineup, no Dougie Hamilton. Not a good spot for a team that I really did think had the opportunity to make a run for the Cup when they acquired Jacob Markstrom for the season. So they're rolling in as a favorite on the road at minus 146. The Flyers on the second night of a back-to-back are a plus 122 dog at home, and we do have a total of 5.5. Now, the 5.5 juice to the under at minus 115. We're looking at this one to be a really interesting game. Yeah, Wyatt Johnson of the Dallas Stars. What a fantastic player he has been. He scored in the last 5. So it is crazy. I appreciate you guys for being there as well. Over your thinking in this one. Yeah, and what a comeback with Dallas and the Montreal Canadiens in Calgary. That was a crazy game as well. Yeah, Tampa killed everyone yesterday. What the hell happened with Tampa, Vinny? It just was appalling to see what Tampa did out there on the ice. But let's jump into this New Jersey Devils Philadelphia Flyers game. The Flyers have struggled on the second night of back-to-back as a home favorite. They're not in that favorite role, and they've also struggled in that underdog role as well. So this hasn't been a strong suit on that second night of back-to-back. They're off the loss to the Seattle Kraken last night, or yesterday afternoon. We were still live when that game the puck dropped, but it was a 4-1 loss in that matchup. Allowing those goals to come in by the Kraken just was not something that I had planned for the Flyers. I expected a lot more out of them. Now they take on a Devils team that is wounded. We know Jack Hughes not in this lineup, but Luke Hughes has been really strong, being able to get those assists out there on the road. He's had an assist in 4 of the last 5. They're off the loss to the Winnipeg Jets on Friday, and they try their best out there, but the Winnipeg Jets are rolling hot. So they've lost 3 in a row. They lost that game 6-1. They just couldn't get anything past Connor Hellebuck. Now they will face a backup goaltender here for the Flyers, and I do think they're going to have success finding the back of the net, even without Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton in the lineup. The Devils have struggled in Philadelphia, though. They've only won 2 of their last 7. So I don't want to go big here on the Devils. I just don't trust it. I do think you look at the first period and you look at the first period over 1.5 goals. I'm going to sign up for that. That's coming in at -127. I don't care who gets these goals. The home team has had the advantage between these two teams, but I could see the Devils getting both of them. They're going to be frustrated off that loss on Friday to the Winnipeg Jets, but you could also see the Flyers coming in here with that momentum in the first period. So I do think over 1.5 goals in the first period at -127. I'll stay off the both teams to score, but I'm going to look at some players for their props again. Michkov we looked at yesterday for the 3, 4, and 5+ shots on goal. And I do think this is another strong suit to look at him for 3+ shots on goal. He's been able to go over this number in so many of these games. So looking at him tonight for Michkov, the rookie, for 3+ shots on goal, coming in at +100. On the other side for the New Jersey Devils, Timo Meier and Jasper Bratt, without Jack Hughes in the lineup, have to step up. So Timo Meier, you can look at for 3+ shots on goal. That's coming in at -118. And then Jasper Bratt for the assist. I do like Jasper Bratt's ability to get those assists, 53 assists on the year. And in the last couple versus the Flyers, he's been able to get an assist in each of those games. So looking at him for the assist today definitely is worth a shot. It's coming in at -115. So that's where I'm going to go. More player prop heavy in this one, other than the over 1.5. And Irish King, you could look at the New Jersey Devils in reg. I do think they're the better team and they should get the win, especially with the Flyers on the second night of back-to-back. Jacob Markstrom should look stronger. My concern here is how they played in Philadelphia in the past, only winning 2 of the last 7. So that it gives me a little bit of angst betting it. I do think we look for a higher scoring game. Let's go. Jasper Bratt. Yeah, I do think Jasper Bratt, 2+ points tonight. He should be able to really capitalize on a backup goaltender, capitalize on the defense here of the Flyers, who are going to be tired in this matchup. Yeah, it's always one team, right? Vinny, I feel for you. That's for sure. Always that one team out there that really kills everything. Okay, let's look at the Penguins versus the Minnesota Wild. This is a little tricky of a game here. The Minnesota Wild, this team has been falling so flat. We know the injuries really have caught up to them. Now they're a -146 favorite, but now they're going against the Pittsburgh Penguins, rolling in at +122, who have no defense or goaltending to speak of. It seems like one of the worst teams in the league defensively and in goal this season. Offensively, we know there was some movement at the trade deadline, but that top line is still intact here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is Sidney Crosby, Rakell, and Russ. So you look at Crosby, he has 66 points, Rakell 53, and Russ coming in here at 47. I do think this top line is going to score here. Marc-Andre Fleury is confirmed in here for the Minnesota Wild. Now, he can have his hot nights, and he cannot. I'm expecting the Penguins to be able to put up some goals on him. I'm going to take a chance on the Penguins over 2.5 goals. It's a little juicy at -132, but this is a Penguins team that has won 4 of the last 5 in Minnesota. So if you have a little bit of faith on them here on the money line, it's coming in at +122. Not the value that I would want. They've also won 9 of the last 12 meetings versus the Minnesota Wild. This Wild team has been struggling. They're off a loss to the Vancouver Canucks on Friday, 3-1. They are sitting 4th in the Central. They need to pick up these points. They have the Avs on deck on Tuesday. I'm just not sure they can get it done here. This is the first, this will be, if we can get a win here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, their first win in their last 5 games, because they've lost those last 4. They lost on Friday on the road to the Vegas Golden Knights, and they got shut out in that game 4-0. So I do love when you see teams shut out in one game to really come back and answer back in the next. And I just don't trust the Wild, even though this is a solid defense, to really limit the Penguins in this. Now, if you want to just look at the Penguins team or the Wild's team total, I don't blame you. You're going to have to take that over 3.5. But I do like how the Penguins have played the Wild in the past. Now, Pittsburgh has scored 4 more goals in 3 of their last 5 games against the Wild. So that is another reason looking at this over 2.5 makes so much sense in this, because we have seen this is a team that they can score on, and I do think they'll score on Marc-Andre Fleury today. Now, I would look at a couple of new additions out here as well for Pittsburgh. I do think Drewers comes out nice and strong. And then on the other side for the Wild, Matt Boldy has been lighting that lamp, 21 goals and 54 points across 63 games. And I like Rossi as well. Rossi coming in here, he's been playing nice and strong, looking at his point tonight. But for me, it's going to be the Penguins team total over 2.5 goals. I'm going to lay the juice there. Yeah, they are playing for paychecks for sure. They're not having that heart. They just want to come out and get paid. But you look at that top line. That top line is where I have faith. And you also have to remember, this team actually has a pretty good power play when Sidney Crosby is firing. I do think they can make a difference in this game. So Boldy for the anytime goal. Yeah, Boldy, goal number 22 tonight. That would be nice to see. It will be point number 55 if he can get that goal tonight. So I do think it is going to happen. Life is better when Jo Madden is in it. Oh, thank you. Hockey life is better when I'm in it. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words for sure. So let's move on to the next game here. We have the Seattle Kraken. You guys know how much I love to fade the Kraken. Every time this team, I bet on them, they absolutely screw me over. Every time I bet against them, it seems like they screw me over as well. So word of caution here with the Seattle Kraken becoming my Tom Brady in the NHL. So we all know NFL-wise, Tom Brady, when he was with the Patriots, he always found a way to lose the games I bet on him, win the games I bet against him, and it just never failed in that regards. And Seattle's been doing that for the last month to me here. They're plus 205. I just can't see them getting a win over the Washington Capitals. I can't even see them covering that puck line. Second night of back-to-back, off the game versus the Flyers, played above expectations yesterday, able to pull off the win as a dog on the road. Now they have to take on Ovi and the Capitals, who are so freaking strong, especially at home. Now, one thing the Washington Capitals do, they get off to slow starts and they put that panic in you. One of our viewers here was writing that 16-1 parlay with the Washington Capitals with the last leg on Friday. Hopefully you didn't cash out of that ticket. I can't remember who it was. It was maybe D, but it was a winner because the Washington Capitals just steamrolled in their last game. But what we saw was the same thing again. That first period slow start, letting the opponent get into the game, and then Washington fighting their way back. So I can't look at Washington in the first period. Do I want to back Seattle in the first period? Well, you're going to get plus money if Washington starts off the same way. And with Seattle off a second night of a back-to-back, that momentum from the win versus the Flyers yesterday could come into play. You guys can put your money there if you want. These are the trends we're seeing, that Seattle should be able to get up first on a Capitals team that starts slow, but I can't put my money there. And maybe that's a good thing for you guys that want to back it, because I told you the Kraken seem to screw me over no matter which way I go with them. So I'm going to look at the full game here for the Washington Capitals. I think they'll pull away in this one after going down. I do want to see that slow start, though, so that I can get a better line on this puck line. Right now, you can lay 1.5 on the puck line at plus 102. If the Seattle Kraken go up first, you're going to lay 1.5 on the puck line. You're going to get closer to plus 180. And that is where I want to go with this game. Joey Decord versus Charlie Lindgren is what we're seeing for the goaltending matchup. Now, Washington has such a significant edge offensively as well as in net. Like, I just don't see where Seattle could get a win unless it's just complete off day for Washington. They've won their last 3. They beat the Red Wings on Friday 5-2. And yeah, what was it? 2-0 at one point for the Washington Capitals. So they were able to come back. 3-game road trip loading. They're not going to be looking ahead to the Ducks on Tuesday. So I'm not concerned about that. They've got the Kings on Thursday and the Sharks on next Saturday. And then when we look at the Seattle Kraken here, again, off the win 4-1 yesterday versus the Flyers. This is the second night of a back-to-back. The last of 3 games out there on the road. Wednesday, they're home versus Montreal. So I don't like it. They've lost their last 11 games on the second night of a back-to-back as well. I'm going to go with the Kraken's team total. Just give me the Kraken's team total. You guys know I love to bet this under 2.5 goals. It is juicy at minus 144, so I will have a dancing partner in a parlay with the Seattle Kraken's team total. I do think you could even look at the Kraken under and then Ovi as your dancing partner there, or maybe the Winnipeg Jets. We'll get into them next. They're an underdog today versus the Carolina Hurricanes. But looking at Ovechkin here, we know the records he is chasing, you guys, and against a weak defense, against weak goaltending here, the Seattle Kraken, I do expect Ovi to light the lamp tonight. His anytime goal coming in at plus 100. The power play point, we know how strong the power play is here for the Washington Capitals. That's coming in at plus 190. Or you can look at 2+ points at plus 200. I'm looking for Ovi to have a big day. I'm looking for the Capitals to get that big win. Laying 1.5 on the puck line. I want to do live. I will live bet this if Seattle can go out first. And if I miss the number, I don't love a minus 1.5 on that puck line at plus 102. It's just not enough value for a team to cover that puck line. I would rather look then to alt the puck line and lay 2.5 goals, because I do think the Capitals are such a better team that they should be able to win this by 3. So looking at the alt puck line here for the Washington Capitals, if you don't want to wait, and this is actually what I'm going to do here. And let me verify that I'm a human. Over here on FanDuel, I've had the book open all day yesterday, left it open overnight. So they're making me verify. Just 1 second, you guys, that I'm a human being. So let's look at the alt numbers here for the Washington Capitals on that puck line. You can lay, and I swear, if the Seattle Kraken come out and win this by 2, I'm going to be fuming. But I just can't see it happening. Let me know if you guys think this is a letdown spot for the Caps. I just don't see it being so, not against Seattle. Laying 2.5, again, you're not getting the value. Laying 2.5 with the Washington Capitals is coming in at plus 196. It's 2-1 to your money. You're still getting great plus money, but not where I wanted to go. Now, could the Capitals win this 4-0? 4-1. Covers 2.5 puck line, doesn't cover a 3.5 puck line. 5-1 would, 4-0 would. So if you think the Capitals are in that range of game of play today, which I do think they have every possibility of shutting out the Kraken, I don't trust their offense, and they have every ability to light the lamp 4 or 5 times. So if you lay 3.5 here with the Capitals, that's coming in at plus 500. And you guys, now that we're talking about it, I will lay the 3.5 with the Washington Capitals at plus 500. I'm not going to get greedy, but I tell you, laying the 4.5 at plus 1100 definitely looks beautiful out there on the ice today with the Caps. I just cannot see any other way for this game not to go the way of the Caps. And yeah, Kaprizov is still out of the lineup for the Minnesota Wild. He should be returning shortly, but no update yet on his injury, that's for sure. And yeah, Ovechkin is just a machine out there on the ice. So when we're looking at Ovechkin, we're looking at how strong he is. You can look at those player props as well, you guys. Dylan Strome and Tom Wilson, definitely 2 players you want to look at on those lines with Ovechkin. The power play points is where I do think they're going to be able to convert tonight. So John Carlson, I love him on the power play as well for Washington. He's coming in at plus 260. Tom Wilson's plus 300. I would take Carlson before Wilson, and then Dylan Strome at plus 190, Ovechkin plus 190 as well. So I think between those 4, you look at all 4 of them to be able to get their points parlayed together, but look at Carlson and Ovechkin for those power play points tonight is what I like. I love Carlson to set up Ovi on the power play. So that is where we're going to go with that game. If you're looking for a trend for Seattle, Brandon Montour has scored a goal in 3 of the Kraken's last 4 games. So Brandon Montour has been really strong from that blue line. And yeah, we talk about weak blue lines. You watched that game with Tampa yesterday, and I hate to bring Tampa back up, but that was atrocious, some of those goals that were put on Andrei Vasilevskiy in that matchup yesterday. So we looked at the Ottawa Senators shot the puck from the neutral zone. It was probably a foot or 2 off that blue line straight into Andrei Vasilevskiy's net. I still am shaking my head over that play yesterday. There was just some bad games out there on the ice. Some goaltenders that really looked like they were half asleep out there as well. And that's what we saw with the Tampa Bay Lightning game yesterday. So I was super disappointed in that matchup and how that went. And sorry, it wasn't the Ottawa Senators. It was the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins player shot from center ice because it was the Bruins who won 4-0 over Tampa. And then we did see Ottawa win 4-3 over the New York Rangers. Rangers letting that game go as well. So definitely not a great day for some of those goalies. Okay, let's look at the Winnipeg Jets. I mentioned it. This Winnipeg team could be a dancing partner with someone we're starting to get more and more plus money for the Winnipeg Jets on the money line, and sign me the frick up. I believe in this team. Carolina, yes, Frederik Andersen expected to get the start here, but is he at the same caliber of goaltending as Connor Hellebuyck? In my opinion, he just isn't. He's been solid since returning from injury, but I don't think he has enough games and pressure under his belt compared to Connor Hellebuyck, and I do think the Jets are a live road dog in this one. At plus 114, I'm signed up. Now we've got a total of 5.5. When we look at both of these teams, we have strong offenses on both sides, but I do think Connor Hellebuyck will really limit the Carolina Hurricanes' ability to get these goals. I see at most 2 goals out of the Carolina Hurricanes in this one. So can Winnipeg score enough to push us over that total? You know that they can. This is a team that is able to get those goals, so elite on that power play. But then we look at the Carolina Hurricanes and we look at their defense. Their defense hasn't allowed, given up more than 3 goals since would have been the beginning of February, in that it was a 4-2 loss to the LA Kings. So we've been over a month here with this team at home, not giving up these goals. So we could see that lockdown. We could see Frederik Andersen play at least strong enough to hold the Winnipeg Jets to just 3 goals. And then we get 2 at most out of the Carolina Hurricanes. So that keeps us under that total. Again, I'm super cautious with this total, because if Frederik Andersen and the Canes defense don't play like that, Winnipeg has every ability to go over a total of 5.5 on their own. I have so much faith in this offense and this power play. So staying off the total, the last time these teams matched up, February 4th, we did see the Jets get a 3-0 shutout win in that game. I think the Jets on the money line at plus 114 is definitely the way you want to go. Now, the Jets have won 4 of the last 5 meetings. The underdogs also 4-1 in the last 5 meetings. And when we look at the players to circle, you know Kyle Connor, 80 points. He's been rolling 33 goals, 47 assists. Look at Kyle Connor for the power play point tonight. On the other side for the Carolina Hurricanes, we know Sebastian Aho has been elite, 60 points on the season, 24 of those coming via a goal. So we've had some success out of both of these offenses, but it's going to be a really interesting night out here on the ice for the Winnipeg Jets. They should be able to get the win here on the road. Now, this is the last game on the road for them of 4. They're home on Tuesday versus the Rangers. And then we have seen Carolina win their last 3. Thursday versus the Bruins, 3-2. They have the Lightning on Tuesday, the Red Wings on Friday, before a Saturday road trip, and that Saturday road trip will kick off a 4-game road trip. So a couple more games here at home for Carolina, which is where you like to bet Carolina. I just can't back them in this one with the price that we're going to have to. Carolina's been inconsistent on the road. That's where we've seen those inconsistencies. That home record has been so solid and so strong. I just don't see it coming in today, though. But 24-7-1 at home this season. We look at Winnipeg, though, 21-11 on the road. They have been nice and strong out there for sure. What a third period for your Capitals Friday night. I know that was an insane third period. Okay, D, you had the 16-leg or the 16-1 parlay, right? Did you end up hedging at all on that parlay with that matchup? I was sweating it out for you on in-game live if it was UD, because that was sketchy to start, but we know the Caps start off slow. Yeah, I would like Winnipeg here, Mark Scheifele, to be able to get that goal. Definitely a strong way to go. Overtime in the Winnipeg game. Yeah, I could see this one going to overtime, actually. That's something I hadn't considered. We know Carolina's going to play a really tight battle here. I'm hoping if it goes to overtime, it is a 2-2 one, because I do expect Carolina to be limited with those goals. Under the 2.5 goals for Carolina coming in at plus 132. So we are getting plus money if it can stay under that total. Now, the overtime bet coming in at plus 320. I love it, you guys. Thank you so much for throwing that overtime bet out. I definitely think it is a great way to go. Okay. Let's jump into the next one. Timothy, I'm seeing your comment about the best bets at the end. Everything that I'm giving you, I am betting. I will tell you those bets that I do think are stronger than others for sure during that recap. So just stay tuned for that recap at the end of the show. We're going to move on to the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the New York Rangers. The Columbus Blue Jackets are in the Metro with the Rangers here. The Rangers on the second night of a back-to-back. The Columbus Blue Jackets are sitting right now 4th in the Metro, 5th in the Metro here for the Rangers. With the Rangers at home, they're a minus 140 favorite. Plus 116 for Columbus. And Columbus, this team has been lighting the lamp consistently at home, hasn't been able to score as much out there on the road, but still has been solid on this season, sitting that 4th place in the Metro. Now, they get off to fast starts in their games. The Rangers and the Columbus Blue Jackets team totals, or the total of this game, sitting at 6.5, minus 118 to the under. Looking at your goaltending, it's Elvis versus Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick does give me concerns with his career numbers versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. In 3 games versus the Columbus Blue Jackets as a New York Ranger, we've seen Jonathan Quick have a 3.34 goals against average and an 894 save percentage. So not great numbers here versus a Columbus team that knows how to score on a goaltender. I do think they bring the heat tonight. This is a rested team, and they are off a game in which they got shut out to the Florida Panthers. That was on Thursday. They lost that one 3-0. So you know that hunger coming out here on the ice to get off to a fast start here for Columbus. Now, second night of a back-to-back, lost to the Senators last night, to the Rangers after being up 3-1 in that third period, allowing that overtime win by the Ottawa Senators. So the frustration is here. Now, they were in Ottawa last night, so I hate the scheduling spot for the Rangers. They were in Ottawa. They're home from that, and then they have a 3-game road trip loading. Tuesday, they'll be at the Jets. Thursday, the Wild, and then on next Saturday, they'll be in Columbus to take on Columbus again. So I think this is a terrible scheduling spot with the travel, especially with the rested Columbus team. I do think Columbus is worth a look in this, but at plus 116, I don't love that line. I would look at the goals to come right away. The books are looking at it as well. The over 1.5 in the first period, it's unbettable. It's minus 152. Both teams to score. I think both teams will have an offensive edge in this one over the defenses and the goaltending. So both teams to score in the first period at plus 140. And the over 6.5 at minus 108 is where I'm going to go. Now, looking at a couple of playmakers here. Panarin, we know how strong he's been for the Rangers. JT Miller as well. Those would be your goal scorers for the Rangers. Mika Zibanejad has been stepping up. Ken Johnson has been able to get those assists for the Columbus Blue Jackets as of late. I do think he is another solid way to look for his points tonight. And then I would go to Adam Fantilli. I keep going back to Adam Fantilli, waiting for him to have that big, huge night. He's coming in at plus 240 for the anytime goal right now on FanDuel. And I like Bon Jenner. Bon Jenner coming in at plus 290 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think another solid way to go. But Panarin at plus 145 for the Rangers, JT Miller at plus 200, because of Vanacek coming in at plus 230. So lots of opportunities to make some money in this one, because I do think we got that higher scoring back and forth 4-3 style win out of one of these teams battle here in the divisions. So whenever we get these battles in the divisions, you like to see defenses lock down, but that's not the strong suit of these teams. And with the Rangers with Quick and his numbers versus Columbus are going to have to keep pace here with the Columbus Blue Jackets team, who has proven that they can score this season. Now, we have seen the Rangers strong off of overtime game, then as a favorite in the next, winning the last 7. That's the position they're in today. I don't think it's an easy win, so I couldn't lay the juice here for the Rangers. I do think Columbus is worth a look as a dog. JT Miller for 2+ points. Absolutely. Yeah, Mo, I will definitely share it at the end. Let's make some freaking money today, Mo. I appreciate you dropping in for sure. Okay. The LA Kings versus the Vegas Golden Knights. This is interesting. Vegas coming in nice and fresh, being so strong versus the Pacific, being able to win, dominate, cover that puck line at home. Now they're facing an LA Kings team that's on the second night of a back-to-back, had a brutal game again versus the St. Louis Blues. Were able to win it in overtime. The Blues just gave them the hardest time over the last week. 3 games versus the Blues. They were able to pull away with that last win, which we were expecting, right? The Blues on Friday night had the Anaheim Ducks. They were able to get that win, won the Wednesday game versus the Kings in overtime. So it was a shootout, that one. Overtime win last night for the Kings. Now they're plus 152 here in Vegas tonight, a place where Vegas has been playing so strong. Now, it's not out of the question that Vegas can lose at home. We've seen bigger underdogs roll in and get the win, like the Montreal Canadiens over a month ago versus Vegas. But Vegas at home in the Fortress is normally a play on. So they're minus 184 here on the money line. Way too juicy to take them straight up. We got a total of 5.5. The puck line for Vegas laying 1.5 is plus 136. It's a nice number at plus 136, but I want to see where the Kings come in this game, how they play it out. I do think the Kings keep it super competitive for the first and second period. I worry about those tired legs in the third. You look at Vegas here, and they're going to come out nice and physical versus the LA Kings, but the Kings will be answering back. I think the physicality after that low-scoring, hard-hitting game last night will really work its way away at the Kings during this game and then could be their downfall. So I'm actually going to look for goals in this one. I know and I understand how solid the defenses are. But I think the Kings, with the second night of back-to-back, allow a couple more goals than expected. And these teams have trended to that over 6-3-1 in their last 10 matchups, have gone over the total. And we got a total of 5.5. So I will take it to the over 5.5 at minus 115. The last time these two teams played, the Kings did get a win on February 24th, 5-2 at home. And the home team has had the ice advantage, with the home team winning the last 4 meetings. So that does put you on the Vegas Golden Knights. And with how strong the Vegas Golden Knights have been versus the Pacific, in their last 11 games at home versus the Pacific, they've won and covered that puck line. So they have been so strong here. Now, I like to turn to the player props in this one. Jack Eichel, he has 55 assists, 75 points. You know Jack Eichel is going to bring it versus the Kings tonight. I'd look at Jack Eichel for the power play point. I do think even though we've got strong special teams on both sides, we're going to see that conversion tonight. We do have backup goaltending in David Rittich here for the LA Kings. And then when we look at the LA Kings, Kempe and Kopitar, you guys know I always go back to them for their points parlay together. I think it's another solid way. Kempe now has 26 goals and 51 points after last night's game, so I would be looking there. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights did add Riley Smith to the lineup. He was with Vegas a couple of seasons back. He's kind of bounced around, but I do think it is a solid move adding Riley Smith. It does look like he's going to be on that fourth line, and it will help those top two lines for Vegas get a little bit of downtime out there. Riley Smith should be a strong fourth lineman for the Vegas Golden Knights, so it will be nice to see him back in Vegas. Now, with Riley Smith coming back to Vegas in this game, can we get him for a goal? And I'm wondering what the books are giving us value-wise. If they're giving me close to 700, as I verify that I'm a human again, I will be hitting on Riley Smith. But if we're not getting really good value on Riley Smith on that fourth line because the game time just isn't going to be there, I'm not going to hit on it. So I'm verified as a human now, you guys. Let's just see what the odds are for Riley Smith, if anything, on FanDuel for that goal. And sometimes we don't get it. So Riley Smith's coming in at plus 500 for the anytime goal tonight. Let me just check. I did read that he was going to be on that fourth line. Let's see if there's any updates here for them. Yeah, it looks like he will be left winger of that fourth line with Nicholas Roy and Cole Schmidt. So we will see the playtime out there for him. Not as much, but he adds up depth. And I do think Riley Smith coming back into Vegas to play this game will be a nice spot to look at him at plus 500. I'm willing to put a little bit of money on Riley Smith. How can you not? You got to love the storyline of these players playing, especially one that's coming back to a team that they used to play for. When we look at JT Miller, we did see that for JT Miller. JT Miller going back with the Rangers came out in that first game versus Boston and just lit the freaking lamp right out of the gate. So could we see that out of Riley Smith? Absolutely. So I don't want to be not on Riley Smith today. If that makes sense at plus 500, I do think it is a great way to go. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The money lines, not too many money lines. I've got the Ducks on the money line. We'll talk about that. And I do think Dallas is the right side on the money line. It's just so juicy. Let's break down these last two games. We'll do the recap. I'll point out any money lines I'm liking there. The Dallas Stars taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the lines on this, let me just pull it back up here on FanDuel. We are seeing Dallas at minus 144, so right around what it was earlier this morning. plus 120 for the Vancouver Canucks, and a total of 5.5. My concern here with Dallas is we have had the time change. When you go back to Vancouver from Edmonton, you gain an hour. So they would have gained back an hour, but it's going to be a weird day out there for these guys, especially in the early day games with the time change today, you guys. And Casey DeSmith should be in net tonight for the Dallas Stars versus the Vancouver Canucks, and he's got actually solid numbers for the Stars versus the Canucks. He's got a 900 save percentage, a 2.82 goals against average, but limited play, going 1-0-1. Lankican versus the Dallas Stars, because we should see Lankican in goal for Vancouver tonight. He's gone 6-2-1 with a 3.40 goals against average and an 893 save percentage. His numbers at home this season have been pretty solid. He's a 903 save percentage at home, at 263 goals against average. So we have seen him have some success. So at home, he's been successful. I'm not sure if I trust him here versus Dallas. Dallas played a great game in that third period last night. It was just too little, too late for the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers. They let Edmonton get off to that hot start, which is always dangerous. And then when they were pushing with the empty net there to tie up that game to push it to overtime, Skinner stood on his head. So you got to be cautious here with the Dallas Stars, because that was an exhausting game for them. But I do think versus the Vancouver Canucks team, the 13-10-7 at home this season, that are only averaging under 3 goals per game at 2.74, it should be one where Dallas can really capitalize and get a big win. I thought they'd win last night's game, and I thought they'd cover the alt puck line, laying a goal and a half. I was really shocked at how Edmonton stepped up and how slowly the Dallas Stars started. Now, Mikko Rantanen looked great out there. He took a couple big hits. Edmonton made him pay in that game last night. But I do think Mikko Rantanen comes out nice and strong again in this one. And Wyatt Johnston, you can't deny him. He scored a goal in the last, 5 games for the Dallas Stars. So I would ride Wyatt Johnston for point number 60 tonight. Point number 60 has value on the power play. You're not going to get any value on the regular points for Wyatt Johnston. It's coming in at minus 146. The power play should be able to convert against this kill here for the Vancouver Canucks. So Wyatt Johnston on the power play plus 230, Mikko Rantanen at plus 195 on the power play, and Jason Robinson at plus 210 on that power play. Great ways to go. But like I threw out yesterday, Thomas Harley and Rupe Hintz, 2 other stellar players on that power play. You're getting more value there. So I would look at that. I'm going to stay off Vancouver in this one. I just don't like what we've seen out of them at home. Now, they have won their last 4 games as a home dog, so they have been stepping up. They've won their last 2 games. Friday, they faced the Minnesota Wild, got that win 3-1. They're at Calgary on Wednesday. The matchup between them and Calgary on Wednesday is pivotal for the race in the Pacific and those wild card spots. So I do think Vancouver, it's just not their day today. Now we're looking at Jason Robinson for point number 65 today and Wyatt Johnston for point number 60. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're building those point parlays. I'm going to look here with Wyatt Johnston and Jason Robinson on the same line. If you put them in a point parlay, they're both laying juice, but parlayed together, they're at plus 136. I do think you can throw in Mikko Rantanen there at plus 197. Again, they're all on that top power play together as well. So great way to go. Let's move on to that last game, the New York Islanders versus the Anaheim Ducks. I do think the Ducks are quacking in this one. Backup goaltending here for the Isles, and the Isles on the second night of a back-to-back off the win versus the San Jose Sharks last night. Now, it was a 4-2 win, and I just want to see who scored those goals for the New York Islanders last night, because honestly, I didn't watch this game. I just kept up to date with those scores. It just didn't grab my attention, in all honesty, with the Isles and the Sharks last night. That late game, I was watching Vancouver and Dallas instead, and that was such a good game to be watching over this one. So looking at that matchup, we did see Dunclair score a goal. We did see Anders Lee score a goal. So I like what we saw out of them. Will Smith scored for the San Jose Sharks. So great game there. Nice win for the Isles. I don't see those conversions on the power play, which I would have expected the Sharks to convert, or the Islanders to convert on the power play. Actually, Dunclair, the first goal was on the power play. The Sharks converted 1 on the power play. And 2 goals were converted on the power play for the Islanders. So they have been stepping that up. We look here at the Anaheim Ducks. So Dostal should be in net tonight. I think the Ducks are quacking at home. So the lines on this one, the Ducks at minus 102, it's not enough value, you guys. I think this is one that probably goes to overtime. The Isles on that second night of a back-to-back should push the Ducks in this game, start off nice and hot off that win. They have the Kings on Tuesday, and then we're looking at a Ducks team that's lost their last 2, but they play in tight games. They have covered the puck line as an underdog in their last 10. So look for that tight battle. If the Isles go up by 2 in the first, I'm coming back in on the Anaheim Ducks plus 1.5 with that value out there. I love what Troy Terry brings to the table here, and Frank Bertrandrio as well for the Anaheim Ducks. And then on the other side, we're still looking at Bo Horvat for his goal number 20. So I will be back on that tonight for the Isles. Anders Lee currently has 45 points for the Islanders. He has put 25 goals and 20 assists. So Anders Lee has been playing strong. We did get that goal last night, but I do like Bo Horvat here for the anytime goal coming in at goal number 20. So that's where I'm going, you guys. Frank Bertrandrio has been hot as of late too for the Ducks. 6 points, 4 assists in the past 5 games. So phenomenal for him. So 2 goals, 4 assists in those last 5. So great way to look. I think overtime plus 310. I want more value on the Ducks. Okay. Who's a good 2-point player on Dallas? Wyatt Johnson all day long. Wyatt Johnson has been so incredibly strong out there for the Dallas Stars. That's where I'd go. Now, Jason Robinson is strong as well. Let's just look at Wyatt Johnson's record as of late. You guys, as I pull it up here on my phone, it's so much easier to just quickly pull these things up on my phone compared to playing it up on my computer. So you could look at Mikko Rantanen, right? Because Mikko Rantanen in that game last night, he got a goal and an assist. He cashed big time. He was plus 660 for the goal for us last night, and he was plus 220 for the assist. I still can't believe we got that value on Mikko Rantanen. We're not going to get as much value today. Now, looking at Wyatt Johnson for his 2+ points, he got 1 point last night via a goal last night. Versus Calgary, he had 2 points. He had a goal and an assist. Versus the Devils, he had a goal and an assist. Versus the St. Louis Blues, he had 3 goals. Versus the LA Kings, he had a goal. Columbus Blue Jackets, a goal. New York, a goal. And the New Jersey Devils game, he had a goal and an assist. And same with the San Jose Sharks. So we look at him. He has been able to get 2 points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 7, he's been able to get 2 points. So I do think Wyatt Johnson's where you want to look. He got that contract extension, and he should be coming out with so much tonight. So I do think he's a great way. You guys, if you like someone else, let Blake know who you'd be looking at for Dallas. You know Jason Robinson's good. Mikko Rantanen's good. I like Wyatt Johnson for sure. Johnson, Ben, and Mikko all scored last night. I'm glad, Mo, that you made some freaking money with that for sure. When Jamie Benn got that goal, I was super excited. He definitely cashed nicely for us in that game. So let's jump in. Actually, that's it. We've gone all over every single game. We're going to do the recap, you guys. I will point out those money lines that I want, as well as I'll let you know if it's one of my favorite bets when we go over these, because you guys want those favorite bets. I know going over every single game, I try to give you all the angles. I'm betting all of these, and I'm betting where I'm telling you guys to bet is where I'm betting, unless I say you could take this. I'm not taking it. I fully tell you guys which ones I'm taking, which ones I'm not. So coming to like best bets, I think you look at the Jets and you look at the Capitals today. I just can't see those games going the opposite way. So I think those are my 2 favorites out there. But let's jump into this recap, you guys, now. So we'll kick it off with the puck dropping actually in the next 15 minutes here. Let's just see if any line movement has happened. Not really. The New Jersey Devils versus the Philadelphia Flyers. In this matchup, I do think we look for the goals in the first period. Over 1.5 goals in the first period, coming in at minus 127. The Devils have struggled versus the Flyers, but the Flyers on the second night of a back-to-back, I can't trust this team even as a home dog in this one. I'm going back to Michkov for his shots on goal, 3+ shots on goal at plus 100. On the other side for the Devils, Timo Meier for 3+ shots on goal. Look for him to really step up in this game, be putting the puck on the net with Jack Hughes out of the lineup. Jasper Bratt, he has 53 assists on the season. I'd look at Jasper Bratt for an assist tonight. Looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Wild, the Penguins actually played the Wild really strong, and the Wild are just still dealing with so many injuries. Don't trust this team. Pittsburgh's team total over 2.5 goals at minus 132. They have gone 4-1 in the last 5 in Minnesota and 9-3 in the last 12 meetings overall, with the Wild winning that last matchup back in October 5-3. Higher scoring game. And I do expect a higher scoring game here. We know the defense of the Pittsburgh Penguins will allow those goals to come in. One of the worst defensive teams in the whole league, but this is a team that has scored 4 or more goals in 3 of the last 5 versus the Minnesota Wild. And I'm looking for them to do the same today. I would look at Matt Boldy, though, for the Wild to come out nice and strong, and then look at the points for Sidney Crosby, Raquel, and Rust on the Pittsburgh Penguins. That top line still together. The Seattle Kraken and the Washington Capitals all day long. I don't understand why the Seattle Kraken won yesterday. I don't understand how they'd go over 2.5 goals today. I love them under 2.5 goals at minus 144. Now, best bet here is to live bet the Capitals if they go down first in this one. We've seen slow starts at home. I want the Washington Capitals laying 1.5 at a better value. Going into this, you guys, we saw the 3.5 laying 3.5 goals at plus 500. I'm going to put a sprinkle on it. I do think it's a solid way. 4-0 win here for the Washington Capitals, or a 5-1 win for the Washington Capitals will cash that old puck line laying 3.5. Now, I do think one of my favorite player props here of the day is looking at Ovi. Ovi for the anytime goal at plus 100. The power play points coming in at plus 190. 2+ points at plus 200. Give me the 2+ points for Ovi against a Seattle Kraken team that's just not up to par compared to the Washington Capitals. So I can't see this being any sort of letdown spot for the Capitals. Same with the Winnipeg Jets. They're rolling hot right now. They've won their last 2 coming off a big win versus the New Jersey Devils. I know Carolina is so stinking hot at home, but Frederik Andersen just isn't Connor Hellebuck. And I do think Hellebuck will have the upper hand. The Winnipeg Jets won the last matchup 3-0, and I'm expecting them to play a very similar game here. Give me the Jets on the money line at plus 115. Now, if we see Carolina go up first, I'm coming back in on the Jets. I believe in this team to be able to get the win. Kyle Connor has 80 points. He's got 33 goals and 47 assists. Look for Kyle Connor on the power play tonight. And then Sebastian Aho, he has 60 points, 24 goals. Goal number 25 for Sebastian Aho. If anyone's scoring for Carolina, it will be him. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the New York Rangers. Again, I love this first period over 1.5 goals, but the books do too. It's minus 152. I do think both teams to score in the first period is a very solid way to go. One of my favorite bets of the day coming in at plus 140. The over 6.5 at minus 108. I do think this is a 4-3 style game. Out of these teams, Columbus is coming in rested, while New York has Jonathan Quick in net, who has bad numbers versus Columbus. So I do think Columbus is worth a look. At the price we're getting right now, it's not enough for me. But if the Rangers go out first, I will be coming back in on Columbus again because I hate the scheduling spot. For the Rangers, they were in Ottawa last night. They returned home, and then they got a 3-game road trip loading. So second night of back-to-back in a bad scheduling spot with a goaltender that has bad numbers against Columbus. It's just not where I could back the Rangers. Now, I would look at Ken Johnson for the assist here. For the Columbus Blue Jackets, Adam Fantilli and Bon Jenner would be who I'd look at for those goals for Columbus. And then looking at the Rangers, Panarin has been so solid, but Mika Zibanejad, JT Miller, you could always go down to Chris Kreider as well. Now, when we look at the LA Kings versus the Vegas Golden Knights, David Rittich in goal here. For the LA Kings, we're looking at a game that I do think has every possibility of going over that total, over 5.5 at minus 115. Could we see overtime in this? Yeah, it's a battle of the Pacific, so we could see the Kings really push it. But I do think at the end of the day, the Kings are worth a look here to cover that puck line. Riley Smith added to this lineup. He'll be on that left wing, fourth line. Look for him to come out nice and strong. Anytime goal at plus 500, not as much value as I wanted. I wanted plus 700, but definitely still someone you have to circle in this matchup tonight. The Dallas Stars versus Vancouver Canucks. Give me Wyatt Johnson for point number 60 tonight, and then he probably gets point number 61 as we broke down. Wyatt Johnson getting 2 or more points in 5 of the last 7 games. So he has been nice and strong out there. You can't trust Vancouver at home, and you also can't trust Lankaken versus the Dallas Stars. Casey DeSmith has had strong numbers versus Vancouver. So even though Vancouver's won their last 4 as a home dog, I just can't back this team. Vancouver on the second night of back-to-back is going to be exhausted. So maybe, or Dallas on the second night of back-to-back. Dallas first period would be a good look on that puck line, laying a half a goal as well. Jason Robinson for point number 65, Wyatt Johnson for point 60. And then I do think it's Wyatt for 2+ points. The power play points will be coming for Vancouver or for Dallas as well. And I think Dallas can get the win. The New York Islanders versus the Anaheim Ducks. I think the Ducks are quacking, but not enough value at minus 102 on that money line. Give me the overtime bet at plus 310 for this game. Bo Horvat and Anders Lee, I would look at for their points parlayed together. Frank Bertrandrio and Troy Terry on the other side for the Anaheim Ducks. But that is where I'm going for this one. First period over 1.5. Which game are you looking at for first period over 1.5 goals? I'm trying to catch up on the conversation here. Capitals, Jets, and Rangers. I love the Capitals. I love the Jets. The Rangers, it's going to be a hard one. I do think Columbus, because the Rangers on the second night of a back-to-back is a hard spot. That is my concern. And my concern is Jonathan Quick. So, but I love the Capitals and I love the Jets. I do think they can get it done. The Knights and the Kings, missed the recap on that one. So with the Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings, this is a hard spot for a Kings team that has had their last 2 games go to overtime, with that other one being a shootout on Wednesday versus St. Louis, and then an overtime win last night versus St. Louis. So it's going to be a hard spot for them in this game versus Vegas Golden Knights, who are 24-6-3 at home, 21-12 on that puck line at home as well. And I do think Vegas has the upper hand, but you're going to see the best out of the Kings, as this is a battle of the Pacific. Both of these teams looking for the points. I do think this is probably one we should take to overtime in that tight of battle. Let's just look at the overtime. I tell you, if it is plus 310, I'm going to double up on the overtime bet in this one. Overtime is coming in at plus 330. Okay, it's great value on the overtime. I'm not going to double up, but I do think it goes to OT. So looking at the top 3 players for points tonight, Wyatt Johnson of Dallas, Ovechkin of the Capitals, and then you can look at Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets. I think Kyle Connor comes out nice and strong. So that would be where I'd be going with those top 3. Ben and Mikko scored to back. It was great. Yeah. Back to back. Yeah. It was fantastic to see those props cashing yesterday for sure. It was a great day in the prop market for some of these guys. So you guys, I appreciate you so much joining me here every day. I see all of you watching. If you guys can hit that like button, hit that retweet button, I would so greatly appreciate it. Keep this show going each and every single day of the NHL season. So we're coming into the late stages of the season with these teams really needing to pick up these points as they race for the cup. And now something we've been talking about on In-Game Live is where we're looking at for Stanley Cup odds. And we haven't seen any movement after last night's win by the Edmonton Oilers. And I was really interested to see if we would see the books move those lines between Dallas and Edmonton, with the Edmonton Oilers getting the win last night, but they haven't. We're still seeing the Florida Panthers as the favorite, coming in at plus 500 to get the repeat win. We've got Dallas coming in at plus 600, even though they lost to Edmonton last night, and the Edmonton Oilers at plus 750. Colorado sitting at plus 900. Now they were plus 1,000 as of yesterday. So interesting to see, followed by Vegas at plus 1,000 and the Washington Capitals at plus 1,100. I was talking with Scott Wetzel, and it was really interesting here for some of the futures. And I just want to see if I can find where he was pulling this number, because it was for Stanley Cup winners to come out of a division. So Stanley Cup winners out of the Central. That's where it was coming. So Stanley Cup winners out of the Central coming in at plus 230, out of the Atlantic at plus 240, out of the Metro at plus 280, and out of the Pacific at plus 290. When we look at this and when we look at those divisions, I do think the Central is worth a look. You look at the Central division, the Winnipeg Jets, the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Minnesota Wild. Scrap the Wild. I do think between the Jets, the Stars, and the Avs, one of those three teams has the ability to take the Stanley Cup. Now, probably more likely the Dallas Stars over the other two teams, but Winnipeg's been playing great. They have the goaltending. I actually trust Connor Hellebuck more than I do Jake Ottinger. And then I also do think Winnipeg on that power play is so freaking deadly. Dallas, I kind of like the defense a little bit more from what we're seeing. So it's going to be interesting if you're wanting to jump on one of those Stanley Cup futures for teams out of divisions. I do think the Central is where you want to go. They are the odds-on favorite. I would not touch the Pacific. I don't think Edmonton has what it takes. And then you've got Vegas there. Vegas has the ability, but there's only one team I have faith in the Atlantic. You know, Toronto can't get out of the first round. And if they do, they look like they're ready for golf like they did last season. Tampa, kind of disappointing yesterday with that loss, one of the hottest teams right now. So between Tampa and Florida, the Atlantic's not a bad look either. And then the Metro. Carolina, I don't have faith in now. They're too inconsistent on the road. We know that I was high on the Devils coming in, but I do think with injuries and with how they've looked, I don't think they can make a run. The Washington Capitals are really interesting here in the Metro, but I don't know. I don't know if the Capitals have what it takes. So that is where we're going, you guys. All the best in all of your bets. Thanks again for joining me here for Puck It with Jo on SportsGrid TV on X. I am live on the grid from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern tonight with Scott Wetzel. And then catch me every day of this week between 8 and 10 Eastern with Scott Wetzel as well for your in-game live nightly show. And then my Cup of Joe. Cup of Joe rolled nice and hot yesterday. So hopefully you guys got those college basketball bets. And more bets will be coming out for my Cup of Joe today. So stay tuned for that. The Madden Quickie is also up on the SportsGrid app. Head on over. Check it out now. It is my 4 top plays out there on the ice. So head on over and grab that. You guys are the best in all of your bets. Cheers, Timothy. You guys have a fantastic Sunday. We'll see you back here tomorrow, noon Eastern on SportsGrid TV on hit some anytime goal scorers as well as save shots on goal.